Yo, what up, Street Dogs? It's Eric Kim. All right, the Turbo Thought. This one is about this notion of just in time, JIT. It's kind of like this, like early 2000s, like based on like the Toyota way, kaizen, and manufacturing notions. But I don't know why it randomly popped into my head. Kind of namely, surrounding traveling. So basic philosophy is, in life we're taught that the earlier you plan things, the better. And if one is always prepared and always planned, one is of supreme goodness, I suppose. But one of the unorthodox life strategies I think I've enhanced or harnessed was doing things like ALAP as late as possible and doing it JIT, just in time, just when the time is right. So for example, to not send too many emails unnecessarily. So for example, before I do a workshop, not to send an email 3 months in advance, but just a week prior seems to be sufficient. Or even meeting up with friends and family. If it's difficult to meet up with a friend and family, calling them up and trying to schedule something a few days in advance, or even calling them to check in and then saying, oh, on this date, let me call you again to figure out the plans. And so it's kind of knowing that a lot of things in life, this notion of just in time is good. So for example, a lot of people, they aspire to buy off-roading vehicles or four-wheel drive cars and stuff like that. But the hilarious irony is that I think the average person probably doesn't really do anything super outdoor adventurous more than maybe even 2-3 times a year. So maybe instead of spending a bunch of money on an all-wheel drive or off-road vehicle, you just rent one when you need it, right? Like just in time. Same thing with cameras. Like a lot of people, aspiring photography entrepreneurs, you want to get into doing like commercials or weddings or whatever. They end up buying a really expensive camera setup, but they may not actually even shoot their kind of commercial work all that often. Then it seems that the more optimal plan is just rent the expensive equipment when you really need it. So like, let's say you're about to shoot a wedding, maybe just rent a Pentax 645Z and like not just have it lying around when you don't need it. And so it's kind of towards this quote lean methodology, or this notion that you don't want to just have excess stuff just hanging around. Same thing goes with like sports cars. Everyone aspires to have a certain sports car, right? And let's say you get it, then it just ends up sitting in your driveway 99% of the time. Maybe if you really want, to get some fun and kicks and thrills out of fast cars, just rent it, rent a car for a day or two to just get it out of your system, or going to like a racetrack, see if you can rent one of their vehicles or borrow one of their vehicles. And I think that the fewer things we own, the fewer things that weigh us down, the better. And so I'm still thinking about this just-in-time notion. Maybe plan on, studying more about like, notions of kaizen and the Toyota way and stuff like that. But maybe we could just think about how we could apply this just-in-time philosophy to our lives.